Hello, I am HSDF, and today I'll be taking you on an adventure. During it, I'll be quiet for extended periods of time, during which you are free to do whatever you want, allowed to explore and enjoy the world that we'll be going to. But before we get there, make sure that you aren't hungry or thirsty. Use the bathroom if you need to, and then get somewhere nice and comfy where you won't be disturbed for a while. Since this will be a fairly magical experience, why don't we begin by imagining a magical place? I want you to imagine that you're walking through a forest. This is no ordinary forest, as it is quite magical, but it does have many of the comforts of a normal one. There's the warm sun shining down on you, the gentle breeze blowing across you, and the firm feeling of the ground beneath you as you walk. There's the sound of critters running around in the undergrowth, keeping you company, birds chirping amongst the trees. And if you try hard and listen really closely, you can even hear the sound of a distant brook, its water babbling down, flowing so nicely. But I want you to really look around now and pay attention to the more magical elements of this forest. After all, you haven't even noticed the colors of the leaves. Some trees having yellow ones, while others have blue or pink or various shades of green, red, yellow, cyan. Any color that you can imagine is somewhere here in the leaves of this forest. And while it is true that you can hear the sounds of the birds, if you look at them, you'll easily notice how they're nothing like the ones you're used to. Some of them are as big as a large dog, while others seem to fly sideways as if they've gotten gravity mixed up. And while these creatures are unfamiliar to you, you can somehow sense, somehow know that they will do you no harm, knowing that they are perfectly friendly. And I could go on all day about the magical sights, sounds, feelings, and smells of this forest. I leave it to you to let them into your awareness, as there's something far more important in front of you, that thing being a round stone tower, a wooden door on the front of it, and its top hidden by clouds. You had gotten so distracted by all the magic of this forest that you forgot why you came here. You've seen this tower in your dreams, felt it calling to you, and so you've come. It's hard to remember how you got here, all the excitement of this forest clouding your mind a little. But it's not really important. After all, you've reached your destination. Standing in front of a wooden door now, you reach out and grab the handle, feeling the cool wood in your hand as you pull it open and step through. But instead of finding yourself on the inside of the tower like one might expect, you find yourself on the top of it, a stone wall and roof keeping you safe. Looking out, you see that the tower is just barely taller than that cloud that was blocking your view before. It doesn't let you see the ground around the tower, but it does nothing to obstruct your view of the forest, which runs on for as far as your eye can see. Shifting your focus to the tower itself, you notice a telescope looking out over the edge. as well as a table with some books on it, as well as an ink and quill and some loose paper. You also notice a staircase leading down to the interior of the tower, but that's of little concern to you right now, as you decide to investigate for books and notes. When you arrive at the table, you reach out and pick up a book to inspect it, but when you do, a tingling sensation washes over you, leaving behind a small, relaxing feeling. It's like when you're in bed and you're nice and warm and comfy and you just don't want to move, but it's faint, not very strong. That being said, this effect is enough to dissuade you from inspecting these things anymore, as you put the book down, not wanting to risk any ill effects. Similarly distrustful of the telescope, you decide to approach the staircase. After all, you did come here to explore the tower, and while you've been in front of it, and right now you are technically under its roof, you haven't really gone into it yet. You take your first step onto the staircase, and to your surprise, that nice, relaxing, warm feeling that you got from touching the book becomes just a little bit stronger, and as you take your second step, it becomes a bit stronger again. The same happening with your third, your fourth, your fifth step. Just feeling nice and warm and relaxed, just like you're nice and cozy in bed. And continuing down, you take your sixth, then your seventh, your eighth, moving on to your ninth and tenth step. Just feeling so warm and cozy, just finding your mind drifting a little, not really thinking about much, just enjoying how warm and cozy you feel. You barely even notice that there are only 10 steps left before the staircase seems to flatten out into what must be a room. Moving on, you take your 11th step and then your 12th, finding yourself slowing down just a bit as you move on to your 13th, then your 14th, just stopping there for a moment, so warm and relaxed before you take your 15th, then your 16th step. Just a few more steps to go, but you find that it's hard to make yourself move. It's just so warm and cozy, just makes you want to fall asleep where you stand. But you push forward, pulling off that 17th step. But again, that feeling is just getting stronger and stronger with every step. And with your 18th step, you can barely even remember why you're moving. It's just so nice, so warm and relaxing. Hmm. You manage, you manage to just barely make that 19th step. Only one more to go until you're at the bottom. Finding this is just barely enough motivation to get you through despite the warmth and comfort. And with your 20th step, you finally stop. You're just too warm and comfy to move. You can't even raise your head. You're just standing in place, your head slack, your jaw loose, your arms limp, only stiff enough to keep yourself from falling over. It's just so warm and comfy and relaxed. Mm. It just feels so nice. You aren't sure for how long you stand there, but eventually you feel a fluffy hand wrap around your arm and starts to pull on it, not forcefully, but gently as to guide you. And you're just so relaxed and comfortable that you automatically move with it, letting the hand guide you, barely even aware of it or your own motion. After a bit, it stops guiding you, and you feel another fluffy hand wrap around your other arm. Part of whatever is holding you is in your field of view, your head angled down so that you can only see them below the waist. They appear to have fluffy orange fur and 9 long tails, the fur on them appearing to be much fluffier and softer than the rest. Mm. They shift a bit, moving so that one hand is behind your back and one arm is behind your legs as they begin to move you again, shifting you so that you're in a laying down position, your back against the back of the couch. From this new angle, you can see them in full. Like what you've already seen, most of their body is covered in orange fur, but their chest, the front of their neck, and their face from the mouth down is covered in nice white fur, and their head is not the head of a human. No, this must be a mystical creature, as they have the head of a fox. Hello there, you hear them say as they reach for something out of view. My name is Uni, and I'm sure you're wondering why you're here. That is, if you aren't so relaxed that you can't think. You hear them chuckle as their hands come back into view, holding a blanket which they snugly put over you. Standing back in front of you, they say, I've summoned you here through your dreams because I've sensed an interest and a potential for magic within you. And while I do have a great many things that I'll be showing you, I find that, regardless of someone's prior experience with magic, when I do this, it helps to get them nice and relaxed beforehand, and that's exactly what I'll be doing. They make a series of quick gestures with their hands, and when they finish, a pendulum has appeared in it. While the effects of a spell that you're under are more than enough to keep you relaxed, this magical pendulum of mine will help you to relax even more. They start to swing it back and forth, back and forth, nice and slowly. And with how relaxed you already are, you find that your eyes just automatically follow it back and forth, back and forth. And as you continue to stare into the pendulum, you notice that the colors on it begin to blur and spin, forming a pretty spiral that moves in time with the pendulum, around and around, around and around, back and forth, back and forth. And as you keep staring into it, you find that all your thoughts, your stresses, your worries, anxieties, they all just get pulled into the pendulum and disappear. No cares, no concerns, just staring into the pendulum as it swings back and forth, back and forth. And as you stare into the pendulum, you're barely aware of their voice as they say, "Well, I'm sure this won't be an issue. I must say that the effects of this hypnosis file will become inactive if they are a risk to your physical body or your well-being, if they are a risk to your social or professional life, if there is an emergency that they would prevent you from dealing with to the best of your abilities, or if they are a risk to your mental health. Also, any effect of this hypnosis file that was an issue will become active again once it no longer will be one. Additionally, you will never find this hypnosis file or the effects of it to be even slightly addicting. They let you keep staring into the pendulum for a little bit before, with a quick flick of their wrist, they make it disappear. I'd say you're relaxed enough now, so let's move on to the main event. However, it shall not take place here. They start to mutter phrases underneath their breath. However, your mind is unable to comprehend them, although whether or not that's due to the magical nature of the phrases or how completely relaxed you are is unknown to you. Regardless, the colors of the room start to swirl around you and them, like paint mixing together in a bucket. They swirl faster and faster until it's hard to even tell what you're looking at. Just a blend of constantly shifting and moving colors. But before long, certain colors begin to become more prominent. Dark shades of blue and pink and brown and green forming into recognizable shapes, the first of which is the night sky above you. The moon and stars so clear, so bright. Then, around you, a forest begins to become visible. Oak trees with pink leaves, bamboo stalks scattered around. The forest isn't so dense that you would have trouble walking through it, but it does block out most of the moonlight in some spots. Finally, as the colors come to a stop, you're able to see the soft grass below you. Uni is still standing in front of you, but they don't appear to be paying you any attention. Their face furrowed in concentration and their tails glowing with a magical aura. With their right hand they reach up, and their left hand they reach down, clenching both into a fist. Then they start to turn them as if turning a massive valve, clearly under strain, having difficulty with the action. But as their hands start to slowly move, as their right hand begins to slowly go lower and lower, the moon appears to move with it, traveling across the sky, setting with their hand, and as their hands approach the horizon, you start to see the first rays of daylight in the distance, their left hand beginning to crest with the rising sun as golden light streams into the forest, washing everything in a beautiful golden glow. And when this golden light is at its peak, at its brightest, they release their hands. They look at you and say, "Well, what do you think?" You try to respond, but you are speechless. With a chuckle, they say, "It never gets old seeing people react to that. Now, why don't you stand up? I've got quite a few things to show you, and you can't experience them all laying down." Despite how intense everything that you've been through in the last few minutes has been, you manage to stand up in front of them. There we go. Now, while many people think of fire as a destructive force, and it is, there is still so much beauty to it, especially if you spice it up with a little bit of magic. They hold their left hand out in front of them, hand flat, palm up, and a large flame appears above it. However, this is no ordinary flame, no ordinary fire. This fire is composed of so many beautiful colors, many of which you didn't even know could exist. It's beautiful, isn't it? You try to respond, but you find yourself unable to. However, this time it's because you're mesmerized by the beauty of the flame. You seem to be enjoying that quite a lot. Here, I'll let you hold it. Just hold your hand flat and up like mine, and put your hand over my own. You do as they instruct, flattening your hand, holding it palm up, and placing it over theirs. Very good. And don't worry about getting hurt. This isn't normal fire, it can't burn, it barely even produces any heat. And you notice what they say is true. You can barely feel the heat of the fire. In fact, if you had your eyes closed, you wouldn't even realize it was there. They move their hand out from under yours, and to your surprise, the flame stays above your own hand. I'll let you play with it for a bit, or just stare at it if you want, but I'll just be quiet for a bit while you enjoy it. After a while, Uni says, Alright, I think that's enough. I know the flame is quite enjoyable, but there are other things to get to today. and with a clap of her hands, the flame disappears. Now let's head to our next destination. As they say this, the colors around you begin to shift and swirl once more, but this time it's a much faster process, only taking a few seconds. When you arrive at your new destination, you find it to be like a well remixed song, containing much of the old while still being unique in itself. You're definitely still in a part of a forest, but now you're at the beach, overlooking the ocean where the sun is rising, casting beautiful rays of orange and red to dance across the water. Uni looks towards you and then towards the ocean. How about I show you some water magic now? They make a pulling motion with their hands as if they're pulling on a rope, and as they do, water starts to flow towards them, as if flowing up a pipe. Right before it reaches their hands, they start to move them as if tracing the outline of a sphere, and the water seems to flow into that shape of that imaginary sphere. And after a bit, it stops flowing towards it from the ocean, and they just have a sphere of water floating in the air. Now, why don't you give it a try? Just stick your hand in the sphere of water, and I'll give you instructions. You do as we say, sticking your hand in. Alright, now try and focus on the flow of the water, its movement. Don't try and control it, that will never work. Just for now, focus on that flow, that movement. Feel how the water moves around your hand. Sense the currents within the sphere, how I have them flowing circularly, staying in a place. Very good. I can sense you starting to get it, feeling that flow, that movement. Now, very carefully, don't do it too much. Just try to guide that flow. Don't tell it what to do. Just suggest it. Just suggest a way for it to move, guiding the flow of the water. There you go. Just focus on it. That's it. You're getting it. I'm going to move my hands away. Just focus on keeping it in the sphere. You've got it. You're doing it on your own now. But stay focused. Don't open your eyes. Just keep focusing on that sphere. Try and move it back and forth a little. Back and forth. Back and forth. There you go. You've got it. Now open your eyes. That's it, but make sure you stay focused on that flow of the current, your gentle suggestions to where it might go. It's time that we return this to the ocean. So, while keeping the water in tow, walk over to the waves. That's it. Don't worry about falling over. Just focus on the water, on its flow. Your body will be able to move just fine. Just let your conscious be focused on the flow, the motion. Very good. Walking towards the water. That's it. Having a water over the ocean. Now, let it go. Release it. Very good. You did very well. Now, you're going to want to step back from the water for a bit. Trust me, you don't want to be in it when I perform this next bit of magic. Uni waits for you to step back, and once you do, they hold out their left arm with their hand open, and a tall staff appears in it. It's almost as tall as they are, with a white, bony texture and a blue orb at the top. They slam the staff into the ground, and where bone touches sand, a low mist forms and starts to spread out everywhere. While it only feels a bit chilly where it touches you, where it touches the water, the liquid instantly freezes, turning what was once a flowing ocean into a smooth field of ice. Now, I don't know if you find running on ice to be fun or exciting, but I find that with people who don't, given the right setting, it can be peaceful and relaxing, almost tranquil in its own way. Actually, that reminds me, there's one thing I should do real quick to help with that. They reach out with their right arm angled slightly downwards, and their left arm angled slightly upwards, and then, like before, they make a fist with each hand. They start to rotate them as if turning a valve again, and as they do, the sun advances across the sky, turning it from orange to blue, then back to orange, pinks, reds occasionally visible, as it quickly sets, revealing the stars against the black, the moon on the distant horizon. There we go. That'll be much more peaceful. I always love how you can see the stars reflecting in the ice. Uni takes a step onto the ice field. Oh, and don't worry if you've never done this before. It's just like running, except you wait a bit before taking the next step. And they wait for you to start and give you any help that you need. Just helping you get going if you need it before you're both running across the ice out to nowhere. They match pace with you, or if you find yourself simply unable to do it, they pull you along, making sure not to go so fast that you fall over. As the two of you are on the ice, they are silent, enjoying the peaceful aspects of this themselves, and seeming to even forget that you're there, leaving you to enjoy this however you want for a bit. Eventually, you hear them say, "Now, are you ready for something awesome?" However, they don't wait for you to respond and immediately stomp the ground twice with a paw. When they do, you find that things have changed a bit. No longer is the night sky above you, but it's below you. Somehow you're on the other side of the ice with them, but there appears to be no water, or at least that's how it looks and feels. But you can very clearly see some fish swimming around. Now, I did have a specific reason for doing this now. See that hole in the ice there? It means that a whale has breached recently, and it should be nearby. And sure enough, as they say this, a whale comes into view not too far away. However, it's sinking or rising. It's a bit hard to tell from your perspective, but either way, it's getting more out of your reach vertically. Now, I'd say it's time that we ride that whale. As they say this, there's a brief flash and they disappear, reappearing on the whale with a similar flash. However, they don't leave you unable to reach it, as you feel a wind picking you up, as if being pulled by a mass of vines. You find yourself being blown gently, not too quickly, towards the whale, and before long, the wind gently deposits you on it. As the whale continues to rise or sink into the abyss, Uni says, "There's one more thing that I want to show you, and while it isn't magic, I dare say it's quite magical." And as they say this, you start to see lights in the distance, specks like stars, blues and pinks and oranges. As the whale gets closer to the lights, you begin to make out round oval shapes and thin vine-like ones, realizing that you're approaching a massive jellyfish bloom. Almost to the bloom now, you're able to see the jellyfish in much more detail, able to see how their magical light comes from their tendrils, all of which converge in the center of the bulb to make it glow extra brightly and allow you to clearly see the deep oranges, pinks, cyans, and dark blues that are on it. It's like someone splashed buckets of paints against a wall and then blended them together in such a way that they all smoothly transition between each other. Uni doesn't say anything, watching the jellyfish in silence, and you find that it's all just so beautiful, so mesmerizing, that you do the same, not saying anything, not even really thinking about anything, just peacefully, silently enjoying the beauty that is all around you. As you watch for as long as the whale is in the bloom, And after a while, the whale exits the jellyfish bloom, and the lights start to just get dimmer and dimmer as things begin to fade away. The environment, the lights, the colors just slowly fading to black as your mind prepares to awaken, coming up on the count to 5, starting with 1, becoming more aware, 2, as you slowly start to think again, 3, starting to become aware of your surroundings, of where you are, 4, almost there, and 5, awaken, 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 awaken. I just want to say thank you for listening to this. I've wanted to make this for a long time, and whether you enjoyed it or not, I still appreciate you taking the time to listen to it. That means a lot to me for just in general, but especially for this file in particular. It's one I'm really proud of, even if my editing may not have been the best. But yeah, I just want to say thanks for listening and have a great day.